Welcome to the flowerschool.com video library. I'm Leanne Kessler, Director of the Floral Design Institute, and today I'm here to share with you a beautiful composite Cymbidium bridal bouquet using the Marsala hued Cymbidiums, Pantone color of the year. Creating one of these, you will be on trend and in demand with today's brides. To create a stable base for the bridal bouquet, I start with leftovers, recycling. It's the edges of a ribbon spool. I always save these. They make a perfect base for a composite bloom. To make them disappear a little easier as you're assembling it, paint it using your Design Master, whatever color will come closest to your blooms. And then on the reverse side, I spray glue using the Super 77 Gaelic sleeves down. Doing that, you just cut the stems completely off of the leaves and then lay them out on a bit of cardboard or paper. You want to protect your tabletop from overspray. Once they're laid out face down, you're going to spray the back of the leaves, just dusting them, and then when it's tacky, go back and adhere them to your base. You can tell they're tacky when you can touch them with your finger and they lift right up. And you can just set them flat against. Bigger ones first, making sure that you go all the way around covering all of the white. They can extend beyond the edges, but you certainly don't want them to go below the edges. So you come around. You can see how it's all just overlapping in the center, covering over my hole, but I can still insert through that. That's not a problem. Then as I finish, double check, make sure there's no gaps. If there is, go back and add another leaf over the top. If there's a flaw on a leaf, you can cover over that. You want to make sure that your base is going to be beautiful because people will look on the back side just to see what you've done. For the center of the bloom, you want 3 perfect throats. So taking your blooms, cutting them off, and then double checking. Is there any damage? And then pulling the petals completely off. Save those, you'll use them later. But you're narrowing it down to just the throat. Then shortening that stem. Then using a 22 or a 24 wire, kind of a medium weight, pierce through. Then bend it, doing a pierce wire, and then tape that so that you're totally concealing that wire point. Got the throat there. Isn't that exquisite? Absolutely gorgeous. You don't have to go to the bottom, but maybe halfway down, being very delicate and gentle so that you don't break the throat off. And going back to a second. Again, removing the petals. Once again, shortening the stem and then pierce wiring. Taping. And repeat that 3 times because you'll want 3 petals for the center. And then once again, just set those aside till later when you'll combine them for the bouquet. To cover the base, you continue dissecting your blooms. This time you don't need the throat, you need the petals. You can see I'm dividing them out, putting the larger ones in one pile, smaller ones in another. That way I can put the big ones down first and then work inward to the smaller ones. Now sometimes there's color variation, and that's okay. That's a natural part of the flower. Just be sure that if there is light and dark, that you use them randomly. You don't end up with all the light in one area and all the dark in another. Keep them divided, little and big. Then to adhere them, the Oasis Floral Adhesive, cold glue, works wonderfully without marring the petal. Just put a bit on the outer edge. Let it begin to dry. Want it to be a little tacky. And I go back and I put just a tad bit on the petal itself. Again, letting that dry. You can do several. Kind of depends on how fast you can work. You always go back and add more glue if it starts to dry, but I find it is tackier as it begins to set. So getting a few laid out, putting the glue on the back side, not the front. That one's a little bit curved. I'm not going to use it. I think it'll cause me too much troubles. Then going back, setting it into place, overlapping, so that you get total solid coverage all the way around. Just keep adding them in symmetrically. You can skip a spot if you want to, bringing them around, and then go back, overlap it in. If you feel like you've got a gap, tuck one under, and then overlap again. So you can randomly place them till you get total coverage, going back, making sure it adheres, and then repeat until you have the whole first cycle around. Moving inward on the disc, I want to go to the smaller petals now, giving a little variation. Again, gluing. A little bit of glue on the disc itself. We're going to overlap each of these. Again, letting it get tacky. And I'll work in that radial spiral, and once again, coordinating the colors so that if there's a light, I dot that around in various places so that I don't end up with just light in one spot. The flower variation will give you a little more character as it's finished. And by putting glue on both the petal and the base, it gives me better support, so I'll get glue to glue bonding to make sure that it adheres very well. Working my way in, overlapping. Holding it down so it stays. And again, looking at that coloration, so that one's lighter, remembering I put it there. And coming back over here, damaged petal, I'm not going to use that. If it's damaged, set it aside because it'll make the whole thing not look fabulous. It's another light one, so I'm going to the opposite side. That's a light one, so I'm going to go clear over here. So you can see you don't have to work in a perfect symmetry going forward all the way around. You can zigzag back and forth to make sure that you get the color the way you want it. Key is that you just keep overlapping, working your way in, making sure there's no spots showing with glue, and covering up all the gaps. Like there's a gap right there, going back with another petal, adding glue, and then tucking it into place to close that gap. For my last spiral, some of the petals are going to be too big, so you can actually cut from the bottom, just cutting off a section of it so that they're a little bit shorter, and going back and gluing onto the petals themselves. Then as it sets, setting one more series, coming around. It gets fuller and fuller. oh so glorious. Making sure they adhere well. And while those are setting, going back with a few more. These I saved out because they had a little more curvature to them. They'll be perfect to put at the very center. So adding just glue at their base. And this time, I'm not worrying about covering up the hole because again, since I've wired those center blooms, I can pierce through the hole. Mostly I'm worried about getting this nice, full, and lush. Make sure those are set in well. Then adding a little bit of glue to them. And then this last layer. And you can see how it curls up delicately, creating a cup that will hold my throats when I'm done. To insert the center throats, cluster them together, all looking outward, and then tape them so you have one single strong stem. Taping it down, again gentle so that you don't harm those throats. They need to be absolutely perfect. Now I've got that ready. You just need to take it and insert it right through the center, feeding it through and out the back, and then pulling it down. And just before I get it all the way down, go back, add a tad of glue on those inner petals. That will help lock your throats into place when you're done. And then pulling it. The stems get wider. You want it to get it all the way in so it's nestled right into that cup that you created. You can pop the petals open. They kind of catch on each other and continue tugging till you get it nice and flush with the base. The bouquet is pretty, but it'll be even prettier if we enhance it with 3 more throats. So just taking the throat and gluing the base, let it begin to set. Taking another. One more. And then just tucking that right down into the center, radiating outward. Make sure it's centered in there. Nestling it down in. And then letting it set until it's fully dried before you finish off your handle. To finish off the handle, a bit of ribbon, double-sided satin. Pull it off, give it a cut. And then I like to thicken the handle so it's more comfortable to hang on to with a bit of cotton batting. Just kind of wrap it around the wire. It gives it just a softness, makes it extra special. Then taking your ribbon, holding it over the end, and then tucking all the sides in and starting to wrap, turning it sideways and around. And getting it started is a little tricky with that batting in there. Once you practice it a couple of times, you'll discover it's not too bad. Then just keep going, pulling it taut. I always leave that extra end up at the top that I'm going to use to fashion off when I get to the top, straightening it. You can see it's not nearly as stiff. It's very casual looking. And when you get to the top, make sure you tuck in all the batting. You don't want that to show. You can clip it out if you need to, but if you just tuck, wrap around an extra time or two to make sure. And when you've got it covered, just using the ends to knot it, pulling securely, and then knot it once again. Then you can use this to tie on bows, trim, anything else you would like. To bring the beautiful Marsala color on down, we're going to use some mega beads. Just pull them off, undo them. Maybe about that many. Clip it. And some sheer ribbon. Give that a clip. And even some double-sided satin. So a variety of textures and sizes, but all in that Marsala hue. And just setting it all in, giving movement. And then just using those streamers that you started with, tie that into place. Just knotting it. Pulling it taut. And once again. And then dovetailing the ends of the ivory. And dovetailing, leaving it long. And the finished bouquet with the Marsala top and the Marsala accents, oh so gorgeous. Cymbidiums are so sturdy and long-lasting, this will easily last through the wedding day, even in heat. Now, if it's 100 degrees, it's going to have a problem, but in most environments, this will easily last all day long and look beautiful. You can do it a day ahead of time, leave it in your flower cooler, put it in a plastic bag to protect it. You may be wondering, how many stems did I use? And that's going to depend on how many blooms are on your stem. I would plan for 1 to 2 stems of the pool Cymbidium orchids, a dozen blooms or more that you can dissect, probably closer to 15, but again, it depends on how big you want to make your bouquet. So experiment with this, play with it, make one for yourself and have fun. If you've got questions, need help with anything, don't hesitate to reach out and contact us. You can find us on the website at flowerschool.com or pick up the telephone and give us a call at 503-223-8089. And as always, feel free to use my personal email. I'd love to see a picture of what you create. It's Leanne, Leanne, at floraldesigninstitute.com. Now it's your turn. Have fun and do something you love.